Yo, what up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the Attack on Titan ending and why I like it and why I don't agree with a lot of people's takes on why it's bad. If you have not caught up in the Attack on Titan manga, I would suggest turn this video off right now. I don't want to ruin it for anyone. Honestly, this is like probably my favorite work of fiction like ever, so even if you want to watch this video to be like to see my take or whatever, just spoil yourself, don't. Like, definitely turn this shit off and go catch up. But yeah, let's get into the video, y'all. A big part of this video will obviously be me defending Eren Yeager, since his role in the final chapter is causing most of the uproar. Claims of his character changing drastically in this one chapter, claims of him being a big hypocrite. Today I want to argue why these things are not true, or argue why even if it's kind of true, these things do fit the themes and narrative of Attack on Titan in my opinion. And I'll also touch on some other stuff like Ymir and stuff like that. I want to start with revisiting the Titan Forest chapters back in Season 1. These chapters are like super important when it comes to how I believe Isayama sees Eren. While many who despise the ending saw Eren as like this stone cold, driven, edgy, calculated main character, I believe Isayama always had Eren as like, he sees him like as what he literally is, like a child in like a awful like fantasy world. If you're an adult, you know how easy it is to like mess up in life. Many things are learned through trial and error. This statement will be easily accepted because it's obviously true. However, when it comes to this character that's supposed to be believable and we're supposed to be invested in him, all of a sudden that idea goes out the window. Eren in this series is a kid. The oldest he gets before his demise is 19. Yet many readers treat him like he's supposed to be some like perfect wise mastermind who will never waver from the path he set for himself. There's a very popular scene in chapter 25 where Levi tells Eren that he doesn't know the answer to tough decisions, that the only difference between them is experience, and to make the tough decision that he regrets the least. All this scene tells me is that Isayama looks at these people like they're people. They're not perfect beings who won't miss their friends when they tragically die at only 19. They aren't perfect beings who won't waver or get emotional. The way that arc ends is also a big development point for Eren, in my opinion. After believing in the Levi squad, the aftermath makes it 100% clear that that was the wrong choice. If Levi and him fought Annie on like back at the beginning, they would have easily beat her. And hundreds wouldn't have died. The Levi squad wouldn't have died. Like, this is a life or death situation where Eren had real influence on the outcome, and he was brutally wrong. Like, yeah, he could have chose to like try to save his mom or whatever, like back in episode 1, but that wasn't a real choice. Like, here he had a real choice in like a life or death situation, and he chose wrong like badly, you know. So number one, you got a kid, and number two, you got a kid who has experienced making a decision being super wrong. So when people talk about, oh, he's a hypocrite, oh, he overthinks, oh, he does this and that, I mean, he should. You know what I mean? Like, I would expect him to. It would be unrealistic if he didn't, in my opinion. And realism in characters is what got me so invested in Attack on Titan in the first place. In other popular anime, whenever characters are in trouble, they'll always spout some nonsense about how, like, their grandpa or their sensei told them something, and then they'll be insanely brave in a situation where if you put 99.9% of real people in that situation, they would not act like that, especially like a really young person. If I watched a 19-year-old in the last chapter have no fear about his fate, have no sadness knowing his friends will live full lives without him, it would have been just another run-of-the-mill anime with an unrealistically brave protagonist. Is Eren's perspective like consistent in chapters 131 and 139? To me, like, they are. I believe based on Eren's experiences, it's realistic for him to be disappointed in all life outside the walls. I also believe it's realistic for him to prioritize his friends over everything, since they're all that he ever had. These things don't have to contradict each other. He can despise Marley, he can be disappointed in what he's seen outside the walls, without planning on erasing all of it, in my opinion. A big thing that I see is left out of like all the complaints about the ending is Eren giving Kruger memories about saving Mikasa and Armin. That pretty much dispels the idea that the saving friends ending is out of nowhere. If you want to ignore that and believe the table scene was authentic, and make up this unrealistic Eren that never existed, you were free to do that. That's just never the character Isayama was writing, to me. I understand we have a month gap in between chapters, and theories go crazy, But I feel like y'all created a character that does not exist. Why would he implant those memories in Kruger if he didn't care about his friends? If this was never his end goal? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get into like Eren and Mikasa's like love story super heavily here, but I do want to address a couple things. The idea that Eren started the rumbling because Mikasa quote unquote family zoned him. To me, it's actually the reverse. Running away from it all with Mikasa was the selfish decision. He knew his fate was the rumbling, but if Mikasa was willing, he would have thrown it all away and ran off with her. Since she didn't confess her feelings, Eren then resumed the current path. People on Twitter and on YouTube are acting like, and on Reddit, are acting like he did the rumbling as a reaction to Mikasa not wanting to run off with him. That's not the case at all. He was going to do the rumbling, but he left the option open there for Mikasa to confess her feelings, then they run away. He didn't do it as a reaction. Like, that's BS. And then you got all like the simp and cuck insults. Like, do you guys even know what those words mean? Mikasa loves him back, so automatically that disqualifies him from being a simp. And then he even says like he wants Mikasa to hold him in his heart and he wants to be the only one for her, so cuck is disqualified as well. People are just so mad at this ending that they're just throwing out whatever they can. Oh, he did the rumbling because he got family zone. Oh, he's a simp, he's a cuck. Like, all these things are just blatantly untrue, guys. Now I want to address the Eren was really a slave the whole time, what a hypocrite arguments. He made the choice to prioritize his friends. No one really forced him to do that. Attack on Titan is a series about prioritizing like the good things you had in an otherwise awful life. So I feel like that fits the theme. Eren with his friends, for example, Armin with his friends and wanting to see the world, Mikasa with Eren, Zeke with baseball, Erwin and... How do you pronounce Zeke's mentor's name? Xavier, I think? They both had the desire to know the truth. Annie and Reiner wanted to be reunited with their parents. Falco wanting Gabby to be safe. Are all these people slaves to these things? Or are they just prioritizing the bright spots in their otherwise terrible lives? Like, I feel like it's the latter. Eren, you know, he smashed enough of the world to where his friends wouldn't get killed off right away in response to the rumbling. This was even addressed by Eren in chapter 139. Stomping out 80% of the world to give your friends a fighting chance. That seems insane. But again, Attack on Titan is not about characters being brave and making the correct decision. It's an attempt at a realistic look at people and their decisions in this extremely messed up world. At least that's how I look at it. That's how I interpret like how Isayama's written this story. Obviously, like the other big thing Eren got done was erasing the existence of the Titans. This was big because obviously it makes his friends less of a target. It also deletes the uncertainty of what the next founder could do. They could do much worse than Eren, or something that Eren, right or wrong, didn't want them to do. What makes this part a little confusing though is like, it's unclear what Ymir's exact mindset was. In 139, Eren makes it seem like Mikasa showing her the ability to cut off a loved one allowed her to let go and stop the Titan cycle. This wasn't laid out as clearly as it could have been, but based off the information we got, I'm gonna assume that was the case. So let's sum up what Eren got done. He convinced Ymir to get rid of the Titans by going through with the rumbling and being stopped by someone he loves. He let his friends live without euthanizing them, giving their future a chance. Crushed 80% of the world. Whether any of us agree with it or not, that's a big component in the future of his friends. That 80% was definitely going to destroy Paradis and all the previous Eldians right after they lost Titan powers. Eren went with the selfish decision of prioritizing his friends over 80% of the world. Us AOT fans gotta live with that. And while I don't agree with what he did, from a story perspective, I think that's godlike. It's the imperfect decision by Eren Yeager, the imperfect protagonist. And peace isn't guaranteed at the end, with Paradise in the last 20%. But would it be Attack on Titan if it was? I feel like everything being wrapped up nice and tight would go against the themes of the story. A couple things I want to address that I didn't know where to fit in the rest of my little list I jotted down of stuff I wanted to talk about. My interpretation is that Eren did not send Dina to his mom. He just sent her past Bertolt so he could live, so the events from season 1 to 3 could play out normally. Think about it. Him sending Dina to Carla, if the case, is irrelevant, because at that point, the gate is already smashed by Bertolt, and Carla's legs are already smashed from the collapsed house, from like the gates, like the gate collapsed all those houses when he kicked it in. Her fate was sealed, even without the founder influence. And the next thing I want to address is Ymir. I've seen a lot of issues with her being in love with Karl Fritz, Tons of people stating that it's ridiculous that she could be in love with someone who enslaved her. I think in these type of situations, the audience doesn't try hard enough or at all to put themselves in the shoes of the character. In Ymir's case, all she knew was being a slave, right? Being shot with arrows, being at risk of losing her tongue or eye if she did anything remotely against the rules. I feel like she probably loved him because he took her from that situation to making her royalty and giving her children. Is that like fucked up? Yeah, it definitely is. But I don't think Ymir knew anything better to compare it to. Obviously, as viewers of the manga and anime, we know she went from an awful situation to like another awful situation. But looking at it from her perspective, I can see why she might have fallen in love with Karl Fritz. Mikasa showed her, though, that even if you love someone, you can say no to them when they're wrong. No one has ever done that before. No one showed her that. For me, like, the sentimental stuff in this chapter was amazing. 10 out of 10. Levi getting to see the scouts one more time. John and Connie seeing Sasha. My interpretation is that they were fading from the paths. I figured I'd throw that explanation in there. Well, my own explanation. Since this is like a defense of the ending video. The bird scene with Mikasa, I honestly don't have an explanation for. I did enjoy the scene though. I'm frankly glad that Isayama didn't explain it. Is Eren the bird? Maybe would... It would be nice symbolism since you can use birds as like a symbol of freedom. Another panel that was really touching for me was Armin claiming that he killed Eren. We all know that it was a real team effort needing Zeke, him, and Mikasa as like the most important three for killing him, and the whole alliance in general helped. But obviously Zeke is gone, and Mikasa is tied up with giving Eren a proper burial. The nervous kid who didn't believe in himself really grew up to be a brave leader and a beacon of hope for humanity. Letting him live over Erwin really proved to not be a mistake, even though it seemed like it might have been at first. You know, what a way to type Armin's character. He's like, Zeke was my favorite character, but I don't know. After this last chapter, I think it might be Armin, to be honest. Like, Armin, Zeke, like, those are my top two for sure. But yeah, to sum it up, I believe Attack on Titan is a story about people and their realistic perspectives on, like, this awful fantasy situation they're put in. Does this ending tie everything up and put a nice little bow on the series? No, but I believe an ending like that would not be Attack on Titan. I hope you guys enjoyed my defense of the ending. I'm not expecting this to change everyone's mind, or even a lot of people's minds. I just need to get my take out there after seeing all the bad takes. It sucks seeing theory channels and anime analysts I love watching leave out crucial details in order to fuel their argument about how bad it is. I'm not a YouTuber. I've never made any kind of analysis video before, so I hope I was able to get my point across. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, because this was kind of like a review slash defense. It wasn't like a total defense. I was just reviewing stuff at some point, but later guys, hope you enjoyed.